So what would you say making WeRead 2, but also working at Calm and Slack and more? What do you think that's taught you about making a great side project? What goes into it, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there's a lot I think that goes into making a good side project. I think scope is really important. So before you jump in to start coding or anything, there needs to be a lot of thinking time. And you can't neglect that thinking and planning time. So you need to take time to think about, like I said, audience. Who is this app for? Who do you want to be using the app? What are the positive ways you're going to impact the audience who is using the app? And then scope. What's the smallest amount of features that you think would make this a good app? Smallest amount, like not the largest amount. You could list all the features that you would want to build in the future, but realistically scoping, okay, maybe I can start out with two, or maybe I can start out with, three max or something. And then thinking about how you can make those features to the best of ability. And then wireframing. You mentioned Keynote. That's a great way to start, right? Putting things together in Keynote and playing around with it and then showing it to people. I think that's a scary thing, right? To show your wireframes or things to people, but showing it to people, see what they think, right? And not necessarily taking people's opinions as everything. You can take it with a grain of salt, but getting feedback, I think, is important. And when you're an indie developer and you're especially working solo, it can be sometimes a really lonely experience. And so you want to make sure that you are asking your friends or other developers what they're thinking, getting feedback, and then start, once you figure those things out and you really have thought it all out, then start working on the implementation. And I think if you get that first working MVP, that minimal viable product, then going on like test flight, right? And putting your app on test flight and then asking either friends or other developers to give you feedback on what the beginning experience is like. And then don't try to perfect it before launching it. I think that's the thing, is like, it's not going to be perfect. If you have something that's working, you're getting some good feedback, launch it. Just go for it. Just go for it. And don't hold back. I think those are kind of the steps when you're launching. And then once you have launched it, make sure you're being realistic on how much time that you can actually spend on it. And so it's not like taking over your life or anything, but you're still, putting in the amount that you feel proud of, or that you feel good about. And then making sure you're still staying and focusing on one or two features at a time and not trying to build all these things at once. So really stay focused on, singular goals, I think, is important.
Yeah, gosh, there was a lot of information packed in there, but it really sounds like getting your MVP initially is critical, but
Yeah.
then staying focused on that MVP, iterating chunk by
Yeah.
chunk by chunk, is a really key thing here.
Yeah. 100%.
There's a brilliant book which I expect you've read or desperately want to read, The Mythical Man Month by Fred Brooks, where he talks about the second system effect. And it's the idea that you build version 1 of something and you make it ship and it gets out the door. And it was hard work, but it shipped eventually. And when it ships, you think, okay, it's time to plan version 2. And you think, right, all those things we cut, they're everywhere around, every
Yeah.
discovery, in it goes to version 2. And it just ends up being a difficult,
Yeah.
overwhelming, overburdening nightmare. And of course, no one wants that, not particularly in a side project.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that the incremental part of it is super important and not trying to do too much at once.